Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Welcome to this very special edition of Atlanta Business Radio. We are broadcasting live from the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute here at Georgia State University. Lee, you ready for this thing?
I am. I'm excited.
I am too. We're going to be here all day, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I can't think of a better way to kick it off than to visit with these three young ladies. Please join me in welcoming to the broadcast. First up here, Graduate Program Coordinator for the Georgia State University Institute for Biomedical Sciences, Miss Takia Johnson. How are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Well, Takia, before we get too far into things, can you share a little bit about the Institute for Biomedical Sciences? How are you serving folks?
Sure. So we're a new institute established in 2014 as part of Georgia State University's strategic goal to become one of the leading public research institutions in Georgia that is addressing some of the world's biggest issues, specifically when it pertains to health. We have 13 faculty right now that bring in about $20 million of research funding, and they work on things like flu, Ebola, infant lung disease, and other diseases that affect people. And we're dedicated to advancing innovating biomedical research and ultimately improving human health.
So now, how does that play into the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute? Is there an intersection between your work and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, definitely. So I don't have a science background. I actually come from a business background. And when I first learned about biomedical science and research in general, I just automatically thought about the scientists that are in the lab kind of doing
research,
exactly,
test tubes,
exactly,
and math.
Right, and didn't really take into account how those discoveries eventually make it into a doctor's office or make it to actually help people overcome some of the diseases that they are plagued with. And there's a lot of commercialization that has to happen. We think about regulatory affairs, making sure that everything is regulated
and safe.
Right, ensuring, because there's a lot of regulations that change all the time. So you have to have somebody that is aware of those things. Also, people in marketing departments, making sure that the end product is actually going to make it to the end user, and that's something that they want to actually use in their patients. And then also thinking about people that explain complex science to garner additional money for donations and to help further research in those ways.
So then it's not just smart scientists locked in a basement somewhere doing smart science work, right?
Exactly.
There's a whole team around them to help commercialize it and to get it out so that it can help mankind.
Exactly.
So now this must be very rewarding work for you.
Definitely, because I get to have a huge part in recruiting some of the world's next scientists, which I think is it's fun. I get to speak to a bunch of different students that might not have a huge interest in specifically science, but they have a general interest in science, and then they might find interest in other areas of commercializations that have relation to science.
So how does a young student that's out there get on your radar? Like, how do you find them to recruit?
Generally, we attend grad fairs, undergraduate research conferences, anywhere that students are presenting their work or have an interest or showing an interest in moving forward in their education. So that's generally those are the areas that I target.
Now, what are some tips to help them catch your eye?
I would say definitely be a strong student in general. Even if you don't have a background in science, your coursework is going to be important.
So well-rounded is
exactly.
important.
Good coursework, somebody that has maybe volunteer or work experience, somebody that has people that are going to vouch for them in terms of their ability to be successful in graduate programs or biomedical science in general.
Now, are there opportunities for people that are just curious about biomedical? Like, is there internships or ways to kind of help out or be around the program without being an actual student in the program?
Yeah, so right now we don't have any specific opportunities outside of being a student, but as a student, it's a exploratory program in the fact that a lot of students enter the program not necessarily 100% sure which direction they want to go in biomedical science. So we spend a lot of time bringing in C-suite level executives to come and talk to the students about maybe positions they've never heard about before. And then
so these could be like people in pharmaceutical companies.
Definitely.
Is that a lot of the work is done around pharmaceutical?
Yeah, so we have some biopharmaceutical companies, biotech. We have some people that are in startups. We've had an attorney come in as well from different areas in terms of business and science.
Because at some point, some of the work you patent it, right, or license it, and so there's a lot of legal ramifications there. But is that an area where a professor can financially benefit if their thing goes to market?
I'm not sure how that works in terms of a public institution and commercializing, but definitely if we were in the private sector, if you come up with a patent, a virus or something like that, you want to patent it because that could be essentially used in thousands of different drugs going forward and based off of your specific discovery. So that is a huge part of biomedical sciences as well.
So now who'd you bring with you today?
So I brought with me current student Amani, and then also we have an alumni, Annika.
Great, welcome. Well, Amani, why don't you share a little bit, Amani Mallory, why don't you share a little bit about your experience so far? What grade are you in?
I'm a first-year master's student.
First-year master's student.
Yes.
So you already went through your undergraduate?
I went through my undergrad here at Georgia State. I got an undergraduate degree in biology in May 2018.
Okay, so then now this is getting into the real stuff now, right? Are you going to get your PhD? Is that the path normally?
Considering my PhD right now. Actually, being in the program helped me see a lot of different areas that I want to go into, and I'm considering a PhD as a next step.
So now when you went through to be a biology major, did you aim at this to get into biomedical? You knew that you were going to get a master's at some point?
I didn't know I was going to get a master's, actually. I knew about the program when I got to Georgia State in 2016. It was being advertised, and in May 2018, the month that I graduated, the beginning of that month, I decided to apply. So the very end of the month, the last second, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I wanted to get into microbiology. I work for the CDC and infectious diseases, stuff like that.
So now, so when you heard about it, you pulled the trigger pretty quickly.
Really fast. So I signed up for a GRE the day before the test, no studying, took the test the next day. Had to reach out to people, can I get a recommendation? Everything was last minute.
And then so you got into the program.
I got into the program.
And how has it been so far?
It's been amazing. I've been exposed to a lot of different areas of the science field, or even outside of it I didn't know existed. So we take classes in the law school, and that was one of my favorites. Never knew I would like law. We have a class at a pharmaceutical company, UCB in Smyrna, and I love that. We get exposed to every aspect of the pharmaceutical business. It's just so multidisciplinary, and I love that about it.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's one of the great things that Georgia State does is they create those partnerships with the actual businesses. So then it's not a theoretical of what life would be like at a place and you imagine it a certain way. You're actually in the place and you can talk to the people and you can see really what happens.
Yeah, I can.
Does that help you kind of firm up okay, I like this part of it, I don't like this part, and I'm going to aim more in this area?
It does. So when I first started the program in fall, we had a speaker come, and he was a regulatory affairs specialist, and I thought that I loved it. But I got to UCB, and I was exposed to more of the regulatory affairs and all the details that go into it. And I decided it's definitely not for me. I like compliance and ethics now, But I think being exposed to so many different people lets me and the different areas of what they do and the whole culmination of it lets me figure out, do I really like this? Do I not like this? So,
right.
Yeah.
So now, if there was a student, I guess, in high school or undergraduate, what type of student do you think should get involved in this program?
Someone who, first of all, likes science, has a passion for science. Someone who maybe wants to make money because it's an entrepreneurial aspect. Someone who might be very innovative and wants to invent something and market it, or know the whole process of how to market it, get it out, the regulatory affairs that go along with it, how to be compliant with laws and ethics. Someone who wants to do science but doesn't want to strictly be in a lab doing science.
Now, I would imagine for somebody who can decide to do this at the last minute and take a GRE and pass and get involved that quickly? You had a lot of choices of which programs to get into.
So I had looked at a lot of programs, but I only applied to the Georgia State one. I was looking at a lot of public health programs, and I was going to plan to apply in December for the next season or the next semester because it was so last minute, and I was glad this deadline was very late in May. But yeah, most of my ideas are public health. So I looked at Harvard's public health school. I looked at Georgia State's public health school, and I still get the emails from all the ones that I was open to applications to. But yeah, those are my options.
So then why did you pick this? Like, what was just because you lived here and you're already kind of used to it?
It was very convenient that I already lived here, but I chose this one because in the description it says business, law, and science. And I thought, like, I would never put those three things together. I knew, they probably did tie in together somewhere, but I never thought I'd be able to have, like, a part in all three areas of that. And I wanted to get exposed to it.
And then so far, they've kept their word.
Definitely,
you have been exposed to all of that.
Yeah.
Now, in your educational life, have you seen, like, we do a lot of work at Business Radio X with the group Women in Technology. And in a lot of the STEM careers, there's not a lot of women. Is that the way that it is in the sciences? Did you find that as you were getting deeper and deeper into the sciences, there's less and less women coming along with you?
I don't think so. I think that there are tons of women. In my program right now, our year is 4 girls, all women. A lot of my professors, the PhDs and doctors, they've been women. I've seen more women than men so far. So
that's great.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the disparity yet.
Right. So in technology, for some reason, it's mostly men, but in the sciences, you're saying it's mostly women that you've seen.
That I've seen, yeah.
And so was that the same like when you were in high school and you were good at science? Were there mostly girls good in science as well?
Honestly, yeah, I took a lot of AP science classes, and I did a dual enrollment. So I was on a college campus living there, like when I was like 16 in 10th grade, 11th grade. And it was almost all girls. If it wasn't all girls, it would be 50-50. And I think that I had just as many male professors as I had female professors or people pursuing science. It was like around 50-50.
That's great. That's very encouraging. So now what's been your favorite part so far?
My favorite part so far has...
Besides the radio show thing, because they're not going to let you do this at Harvard.
I think it's been the law class, and we had a class called Business Aspects of Translational Medicine, and that was one of my favorites, too. Yeah.
Cool. So how do you see this progressing? What's next on your to-do list?
So after the program?
Yeah.
After the program, I would like, if I don't get a job, or I want to get a job, if I don't find something that I like to do or something that I want to pursue for the rest of my life, hopefully, PhD would be the next step. And I'm looking at a program which it starts as a master's in pharmaceutical science for 2 years. And then if I maintain a 3.5 in that, I'll go directly into medical school.
So what are you going to bet on yourself to have over a 3.5?
Definitely. Yeah, that's no problem.
No problem. Good stuff, Amani. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
All right, Takia, who else you got with you?
So we have Annika, who is an alumni. She graduated this past fall.
Welcome, Annika.
Good morning.
So what's new with you? How's your day been?
It's really cold outside today.
That's
I must say that. I was walking here from the MARTA station. It was like a 3 minutes walk at tops, and I felt like my face was falling off.
That's right. It's March. It's not supposed to be this cold.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience with the biomedical enterprise.
Yeah, so I just wanted to first start with how I got here.
Okay.
So it's a bit interesting because I had a transition. My undergraduate degree was in physics, and I did start graduate school in physics, and I was working in a biophysics lab.
Was that here at Georgia State? Or you were in
that was
another-
at Emory. So I was working with antibiotics and different strains of E. coli, how they reacted to those antibiotics. And my interest started to shift, and I was more interested in healthcare. But this time I wanted to work as an industry professional, not in academia. So yeah, I was searching for a program that would like help me to get there, and then I came across the Master of Interdisciplinary Studies in Biomedical Enterprise. So I found, like, from the description, it's an excellent blend of science, law, and business.
And that's kind of unusual, right?
Yeah, I think it's a fairly new conception. I don't think there are many programs like this across the whole country. So I started talking to their program coordinator back then, and also to Professor Dr. Denning. And I got to know more about the program. I applied and I got in. So my goal back then, I really wanted to step into quality control and ethics and compliance in pharma industry. And I found out that there's a great chance of going to that direction, being in this program. So yeah, that's how I got here.
Well, tell me where the ethics comes into play. How do you get a specialty in ethics? They
so
teach you ethics?
It's not exactly like that. So ethics and compliance, it's a whole department in every pharmaceutical company. They work as partners. They help the company to abide by all the laws and necessary regulations, so that it helps both the company and also the healthcare industry in general, so that they can successfully bring their product into market without any
from
problems.
An ethics standpoint, that's the company deciding that this path is ethical? Or is this the government decides that, okay, let's not get a drug in this area?
I think it's a blend. There are both laws from company-specific rules, but the most important laws that every company should abide by are set by the government or the other authorities.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
And then, you said, okay, I'm going to go down this path. Now, did the program help you in terms of getting actual practical experience? Or was it all just smart professors just talking about hypothetical situations?
That's also interesting, because I was already interested a bit in quality control. Then I got into this program, and Amani mentioned one course, business aspects of translational medicine. We had different people from different companies in the health associated with the healthcare industry who came and talked to us about their respective companies and their fields. That's why that's where I was first introduced to Dr. Levin from UCB. And we had another course at UCB the following semester, which was amazing, actually. I think this is one of the key attractions of this whole program. They took us over to their campus, the UCB campus in Atlanta, in Smyrna, actually. And there we had seminars every week, and their heads from different departments, they came and talked to us. And that's where I met the head of ethics and compliance in UCB over there. We heard from her, and my interest was even, I should say, nourished or triggered, and I wanted to work. And the following summer, I had an internship over there, and I shadowed a person in the ethics and compliance to learn more about what they do. And so the program, it helped me too.
And then, and that was you being proactive to go and introduce yourself, right? That's a good tip for students, right?
Of
to
course.
not just sit there and listen and leave, right? You went out and you met the people.
And the internship, you mean?
Well, before the internship, you heard them speak. You got to visit the facility.
Oh yeah, that was a course. Yeah, and we all went there, and I would suggest everyone to be a bit proactive when they are looking for a job, especially when they're networking.
Right.
Because when I was doing an internship over there, it was not a very long internship. It was just the summer. So I did have my own personal project. That was a research review project, but I did introduce myself to different people over there and talk so that I can build a connection for future.
Right, because you never know, right?
And I did go back to talk to them again after my graduation. It's really helpful.
And then when you were in the program here, were you a graduate research assistant, or when did that come into play?
The whole time. Right after I joined, I worked as a graduate research assistant in a biology lab in the IBMS. It was a terrific experience, I must say.
So what's the day-to-day life of a graduate research assistant? What are some of the things you do?
So, since the program is only 4 semesters, I did not have my own individual projects, but I worked on different projects with my mentor. I helped her, and since my background is in physics, and this time I worked in a biology lab, I learned quite a few new techniques. And it was really enjoyable because she was really helpful and she guided me all along the way. She explained everything really well, and it was amazing too.
And then you're doing hands-on actual stuff, right?
Yes, you do hands-on experiment, and it's the labs are really cool. I must say they have many cool machines, and yeah.
So now, do you think that that's typical of anybody who goes in this program in other colleges, or do you think this is unusual? This level of practical experience and also networking with executives and high-level people?
So about the lab experience, first of all, I can't say accurately because I haven't been in those places, but the lab experiences should be about the same because, labs are all around the world in all the institutes, but I would really like to emphasize on the industry introduction and experience that I got from this program, because one thing that I learned is that networking is key when you're looking for a job,
right.
And this program really gave me a head start into that networking.
And that's an important lesson for the students, right? That just because you graduate with a degree doesn't mean that the job's sitting there waiting for you, right? The work, your work has now begun.
Right. So after graduation is just starting.
Right. So Takia, now how does Georgia State help the student kind of navigate that? Because a lot of people think that, I got the degree now, I'll just wait by the phone, and then someone will call me.
So I think because our programs are still pretty small, they have a lot of direct contact with our director of graduate studies, who is really awesome at asking specific questions about what their interests are and kind of directing them on the path of providing suggestions on ways that they could get into the areas that they've expressed that they had interest in. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's a huge plus to the program that a lot of other programs don't offer.
And then this interdisciplinary studies is
that's a new thing.
Right.
Yes.
So can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So interdisciplinary studies degree, that basically just means that it's offered jointly between the Institute for Biomedical Sciences, the College of Law, and the Entrepreneurship Institute. So it's not just offered through
one of those.
Exactly. In terms of being like a Master of Science or Master of Education, something like that is interdisciplinary.
So then who are some of the people that you consider that?
In terms of students that are recruiting. So any student that has, I would say, any interest in any one of those areas, and then even minor interest in science. So if you have an interest in law, one example that I can say is we have another alumni student who graduated this past fall. Her name's Devin. So she started the program and actually had an interest in becoming a pharmacy technician, a pharmacist. After kind of exploring in the program, she's actually applying to law schools right now. So her interest in science kind of brought her into the program, where we were kind of able to help her explore other avenues. So anybody who has a general interest in science, even if your interest is stronger in entrepreneurship or even on the law side, just any general interest would be good.
And then, but you don't have to be like super hardcore science.
No, so the program doesn't include any super hardcore science courses. So they take experimental approaches, which they learn some of the state-of-the-art techniques in biomedical science. And then they also take another course called disease models, where they learn about some of the models used to examine human health diseases. And those are the two main courses that are going to be considered super science-y. Otherwise, they take law courses, they take business courses that are related to biomedical science.
Now, Amani, did you take those courses? Or
I did. I took those courses.
And they're easy? Like I could pass it maybe?
If you put the work in, you can pass it, yeah. So in the disease models course, we have a presentation every Friday. So we'll be given a disease in a specific area of the body. So like, for example, this week, Friday, is neurological diseases. So I have to present on multiple sclerosis. And then after that, the PhD students, that's the master's student stuff, the PhD students come in and present every single model. So like a rat, a mouse, a non-human primate, and the way they apply those to the diseases. So it's not easy, but it's not awful.
That's right. So now, Takia, what do you need more of? How can we help you?
So we definitely need more students in other areas that have interest in science that come from other areas. So we've just started to kind of attract some of the business students and then some of the law students, and just want to people. I think a lot of people are intimidated by the name biomedical enterprise.
It's a scary word.
Definitely, and being a person from a business background, I definitely understand that. But come and talk to me. I can, if you give me an idea of what you think you might want to do, I can probably tell you how that would translate into a biomedical enterprise degree.
And then Amani, how can we help you? What are you looking for? Internships, job? You're right in the middle of this, so.
Yeah, right now we are looking for, or I am looking for internships for the fall. I mean, not for the summertime. Hopefully they carry over into the fall. CDC connections would be great.
CDC.
Public health connections. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for right now.
And Annika, how can we help you?
Yeah, same. So I'm looking for a job right now since I
right.
graduated like recently in December. So
And where's your dream place you'd like to work?
Yeah, so since I'm interested in ethics, compliance, and regulatory, a dream place would definitely be FDA.
The FDA?
Someday.
So like you'd have to go to Washington, D.C., or where's the FDA? Or they have FDA everywhere?
The head office is there, but there is a location in Atlanta as well. But that's actually, for me, a long way down the road. Right now I'm looking at pharma companies because to be able to work at FDA, you have to start at the pharma and gain the experiences, and then you can.
Now, are there a lot of pharma companies in Atlanta? Are we a good pharma city?
Actually, yes. So Georgia Bio and the Georgia Research Alliance are two companies that kind of bring all of the biomedical science companies, biopharma companies, into like one area where they're able to network and share experiences, especially with our students. We suggest that they go over to their career panels, and they have different networking events and things like that. So definitely Atlanta is becoming a larger biomedical science area.
What a fantastic and fascinating area of study. Keep up the good work. We need this. And I think Business Radio X has stumbled into a new service, Radio Resume. We should record. We should have them record what they want to do, their background, why they want to do it, and then we should send these audio files to FDA or wherever they want to go. So it's a good business idea for us, right?
I noticed you weren't chiming in about your kid. She's in the middle of all this, isn't she?
Yeah. She's well. My wife says that she majored in bioterrorism. My daughter likes to tell her it's bioterrorism defense. But yeah, my oldest is very, works with cleared for weird. She's got the security clearance and all that jazz. And but no, she has a very fruitful and rewarding career in that bioterrorism arena, and she's up in DC.
Okay, cool.
Now, does biomedical touch that as well?
So I was just thinking as you were talking, I think it probably does. So I'm working on now kind of like etching out some of the careers that can be associated with biosecurity. So yeah, definitely.
Well, and she made more money last week than I made last year. So, I mean, it's a very lucrative career, I think.
Right.
So, Takia, if somebody wanted to learn more about the program, what's the coordinates to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can send me an email at biomedgrad, BIOMEDGRAD, grad at gsu.edu.
And then is there a website for the program?
Yes, so it's biomedical.gsu.edu.
All right. Well, thank you all for being part of the show today and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will be back in a few from the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute here at Georgia State University.